Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitangscha Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangolang Hayate Girim Yat Kripatamahang Vande Sri Gurundina Tarinam Guru Gaura Gandharva Govindang Gringanai Saha Vande Prasadato Yesham Sabaramba Subankara Gauravag Vigraham Vande Gaurangam Gauravaibavam Gaura Sankirtanomatam Gaura Koruna Sundaram Guru Rupa Harim Gauram Radha Ruchi Ruchavritam Nityam Nomi Navadvipe Nama Kirtana Nartanai Adadanas Tenam Dantayar Idam Jache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padamboja Dulisham Janma Janmani Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Hemava Divyajchavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. So we're reflecting upon the golden volcano of divine love, this publication of Srila Guru Maharaj. Sometimes we hear, when we're telling of Mahaprabhu's Vigraha, how he came, that Srila Gurudev said to Guru Maharaj, "Oh, Goswami Maharaj has given you 3 deities, you give him 1. But what did he mean by these 3 deities? But search for Sri Krishna, reality the beautiful, Sri Guru and his grace, and golden volcano of divine love. Because at that point there were these 3 publications. So that's Gurudev's divine way of seeing. He's saying, these are 3 deities, worshipable deities, and have been given to you. See how charming he is, and how he can sweetly, I'll use the word, manipulate Srila Guru Maharaj. I'll use that word. Sweet exploitation. Right? But so, when I heard about it, when I heard, I was there. And later time, I would reflect, like, just exploring the 3 deities concepts. I think, like, search for Sri Krishna, then that would be Krishna. Right? Then Sri Guru and his grace, that would be Srimati Radharani. Because then the highest concept, she's, And then golden volcano is obviously Mahaprabhu. And Guru Maharaj, after many years of those, he asked me once, which is your favorite? And I didn't know how to respond, and I didn't want to say the wrong thing either. So I was hesitating, and I couldn't think of how to answer that question. And he was smiling, and I've said it's like blushing like a teenage girl with a crush, saying, he goes, golden volcano. He could not conceal his love for Mahaprabhu, and by extension, Srimati Radharani. And as he would sometimes say, but recently, my appreciation for Krishna. In that order. Mahaprabhu, Radharani, and recently, Krishna. And even that he would qualify by saying, because I know to be in Radharani's group, that it's ultimately toward pleasing Krishna, offering everything to Krishna. So we hear in the Charitamritam about her, Anaya aradhita nunam Bhagavan hir Ishvara Yano vihaya Govinda pritoyam something raha saha. How, although her name is not mentioned ostensibly in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that, what does it say? Aradhita. That's how her name is encoded there. Because, and it comes from the other gopis. They're trying to understand what happened. Where did Krishna go? Because as we hear in the Ramananda Sambad, the Rasa Leela is going full-blown Rasa Leela. By various accounts, billions, if not trillions of gopis. As Gurudev once said, you want to understand the difference between Lakshmi Narayan, Radha Krishna, or Narayan, Vishnu, and Krishna? He said, in Vaikuntha, one Lakshmi for one Narayan. And Krishna, what do we get from Karnamritam? Lakshmi Sahasrasata Sambrahma Brahma Sangita. Lakshmi Sahasrasata Sambrahma Sevyamanam. Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, even trillions of gopis, one Krishna. Like, that's just not marginally more. It's to that level of magnitude. And we hear there that in this, and it's mentioned, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, the source of most of these things. So out of that, the trillion, whether you want to say billions, trillions, saying 8 are principal. We know 108, but 8 are principal. So then you'll have to think for a moment how inconceivably qualified they are. Out of that many, there's these 8 who are very special, the so-called Astasakis. And Radharani, and who left her right arm, left arm, Lalita Vishaka. So how supremely qualified they are. If Krishna and Radharani are the central conception of the infinite, and then next to them are these two. Right? And we're told Vishaka, they're also expert at singing and dancing. She's singing, canceling better than anyone else. Then Lalita, superior singing and dancing, and Radharani, Guru Maharaj's deity, Gandharva. Gandharva Govinda, Gandharva, he said, means Radharani, who's singing and dancing to capture Krishna. That's Gandharva, Gandharvika, Gandharva. Why that name? Because we know the Gandharvas are famous for singing, dancing. So her and the peak, the height of her singing and dancing capacity. We can't conceive of that, but we can understand in principle that it cancels all others. So she sings and dances in this most superior way and leaves in a huff thinking, I'm like one of the group, right? Thinking like equal treatment. And of course, the Guru Maharaj will remind us, this is all arranged by Yoga Maya, play. Because we can say, such ego is there? And the supreme, ultimate, original woman, we can imagine. Right? But all sweet, like Guru Maharaj once said, there's biting in the spiritual world, but nectar biting, no sting. You know, it's a beautiful one. There's everything, lying, cheating, stealing, but all sweet and uplifting. That's what we get in Krishna Leela, not in any other Leela. Vishnu, as far as I know, he's not stealing. Although he did steal that Brahmin's child once, so little naughtiness. But what was his object? To have the darshan of Krishna. So I have to contradict myself. But normally he's not known for these things. Krishna conception might have pushed him over the edge of the infinite into more deeper infinite. So, and then we're told Krishna, seeing that in the presence of a trillion minus one, the overall experience has gone down. So I'm told, a trillion minus one, for most people would say, it's a trillion minus one. But in this case, it's being, Guru says, what did he say? Quality gives us relief from mathematics. That's the presentation of the Ramananda Sambad. And it's quoting Gita Govinda and others. It says, Radha Madaya Hridaye Tatyaja Brajasundari. Tyaj Brajasundari means he left all the others in search of one. And when the gopis are wondering, where did Krishna, what happened? Krishna's vanished. And they're following his lotus footprints. And we're told in Vrindavan, they're of extreme value. They're never crossed over, they're never stepped on, they're never brushed away. Such, if they see the lotus footprints of Krishna within the soil of Vrindavan, what a treasure that is. But they're following these, and they're seeing that there's one who's captured him, Bhagavan Hari Ishvara, and they're saying, Anaya Radhita Nunam, the one who worshiped Krishna the best. That's how they refer to her. They're not saying her name. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Bhagavad Arka Marichi Mala, he'll reveal who they are. But if you read this section of the Bhagavatam, it'll say, one gopi said this, another gopi said that, another one came forward and said this. Who they are, Bhaktivinoda Thakur knows and reveals who they are. But the group comes together and they conclude, this one gopi, and they know who it is, she has served Krishna the best, and he left all of us to go search for her. And then what do we hear? And they're following, and they go, oh, but we don't see her footprints anymore. They keep following them as they go deeper, and they're saying, oh, I know what happened. She said, I'm tired and from all the singing and dancing, and I can't go any further. If we're to go any further, you have to carry me. And so that means that Krishna picked her up, and he's carrying her. And she's saying, is there anyone more fortunate than I? And then Krishna sets her down. And what does Krishna do? As Krishna does, he vanishes. And that's what Guru Maharaj calls, he talks about sweetness and cruelty, cruelty and sweetness. One he says is hypocrisy, the other he says has some spiritual color. So Krishna is the cruelty and sweetness. Not sweet. And anyway, that's a whole other subject. But, so, when Srila Saraswati Thakur is on the Brajamandal Parikrama with his disciples, one devotee, we could say, innocently brings this up, and so, well, how are we to understand this? and Guru Maharaj said, Saraswati Thakur became enraged, like he, Sri Barsha Banavi Devi Daitaya Das, he's such a fanatical, exclusive servitor, follower, promoter of Srimati Radharani, that he can't tolerate even hearing, and this is a pastime, it's there in the Bhagavatam. He can't hear it. What kind of person is that? And he says to him, he goes, why do you mention this? There's no devotion to be found there. That's what he says. Should someone come and say, no, I'm reading from the Bhagavatam. No, they all become silent. Shh, like, don't disturb Prabhupada. And he said that. There's no devotion to be found there. Why have you mentioned this? And what it means is, he cannot tolerate that apparently Srimati Radharani is being disrespected on any level, even remotely by imagination. That's the nature of that group. So they're so close to the absolute infinite center, right? The golden mean of the infinite, the supreme personality of Godhead, yet they want to promote her, right? Because they have no ulterior motive. They're saying, who can serve Krishna the best? Her. We're promoting her under all circumstances. Then we may say, like, why is there opposition? Why are there... To increase the drama, right? To make this, what Prabhupada like to call transcendental competition, to put that competitive spirit there. So there has to be, and we mentioned when Srila Gurudev in his final days, he had to be very careful about his diet. But we know the Bengali devotees, they like to cook so many things, so he sits there on the veranda and we're on the side, and they would come up and sometimes they put stuff on our plate that they're not giving him. And I should say, Gurudev normally did not say a word when taking prasadam. He's totally silent and expected the same. For him, that's not the time to have a conversation about anything, But this particular day, he's singing the song, but in a very melodramatic way, and looking over at me, but I don't know what it meant. I said, Maharaj, what is that song you're singing? And he said, oh, Maharaj, Radharani is very unhappy. And I was like, she is? Why? And he said, because not only is Krishna going to the house of another gopi, but he's going through her courtyard so that she can see that he's going to the house of another gopi. Not in a hidden way is he doing that, but blatantly. So she's very unhappy. But what it shows is what triggered this divine remembrance and his divine grace is that he's saying, so not only are they bringing this to you, but it's like they're bringing it right in front of me and then putting it on your plate. So that makes it even more objectionable. But that, as a side point, that some simple event like that would bring about this level, then you get a glimpse into the ecstatic, emotional interior of Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. Right? Just that little instance there. So, but Guru Maharaj, ever the servitor, and also equally fanatical about the position of Srimati Radharani. He is searching for a remedy for this apparent slight. I say apparent. So Guru says he's reading through Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and what do we find there? He's saying, but Krishna is so astonished by her. And that's mentioned in Charitamritam. Remember, his default position is omniscience. Whose default position is omniscience says, I cannot estimate how great is her love. Right? So he's supposed to know everything by default. He's saying, but and nothing is beyond what he can conceive. He's saying, but the love that is in the heart of Srimati Radharani, I can't properly estimate it. Also in Charitamritam, he will say, the Krishna-prem in the heart of Srimati Radharani is my guru and I am its disciple. These statements are not to be found anywhere except within the pages of Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam. So, there were Kaviraj Goswami to give credence to what he's saying. He's quoting Srup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. Zaparam kasyapi pranay janavindasya kutuki rasotstamam ritva maduram upabhoktam kamapiya rucham swamavavre dutim ihad tadiyam sadevascha read here no kripayatu Sachaitanya Devaskritir Atitaram Na Kripayatu. Remember, Chaitanyastakam, he has 3. 8, 8, 8. And in this one, he's saying, Aparam Kashyapi Prani Janavrinda Shukutuki, serving all of them, one captured him. The sort of devotional mood, self-giving, self-sacrificing nature, her super qualities. As Krishna says, everyone's attracted to me because of my qualities, but to attract me, someone would have to be more qualified than me. Who is that? Srimati Radharani. So Guru Maharaj writes in his introductory verses to his sloka collection that was along the lines of Bhagavat Arka Marichi Mala, Yadamya Mahima Sri Bhagavatam Katayam Pratipatam Anubhutam Apyalab Davideya Tadakila Rasamurti Shamalila Avalambam Madhura Rasadi Sri Radha Pada Padmam Prapadye. Again, although her name ostensibly is not mentioned there, every step of the way is meant to take you in one direction, which is the service of her holy lotus feet. So much so, in terms of desirability, that Krishna himself desires that position. So kutuki means curiosity. It awakened the curiosity in Krishna. So Guru Maharaj found Krishna vanished, but not in a way that we can perceive as a slight. It's actually a certificate to the superiority of her position and her devotion. Because what did he do? He hid in a kunja where he could observe her from a hidden position. And what? Because he already is seeing her behavior, and you can say in the pastimes of union. And he's thinking, what is she like? What happens when she's experiencing Krishna viraha? And that he's observing from the hidden position. And it's there, and we sometimes tell Goswami Maharaja's temple there, Imlitala, and Vrindavan, there Krishna had made this decision to descend as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What he sees before him is utterly astonishing. And as Srila Gurudev would say, if you want to properly understand Mahaprabhu, he said, what is his tasting matter? That's how he put it, very simply. What is he tasting? And say, Krishna is Rasaraj, and Rasika Shekhar, so many things are said about him along those lines, you know. And what did we just say? Lakshmi Sahasrasata Sambrahma Sevyamanam. Thousands, millions, billions of gopis for one Krishna. He knows everything. The Rasa Leela, he knows everything about the joys of union. Right? But what he's seeing, observing her, is what is experienced in separation. And how does Guru Maharaj describe that? He's saying, when the maximum amount of pressure is put upon love and affection. There's love and affection, then put pressure on love and affection. That's what separation does. And he said it's like squeezing juice out of the heart, squeezing the heart, and some peculiar nectarine juice is being extracted by the pressure put upon extremes of love and affection. So, Bahye Bisajalahoy Bitore Anandamoy Krishna-prem Adbhuta Charit. So the Adbhuta Charit, the astonishingly wonderful quality and characteristic of Krishna-prem is that the heart achieves a greater depth and yields a superior quality of prem under the pressure of separation, which Guru Maharaj would later describe as union and separation. And some good news for us is that Guru Maharaj says, Krishna is infinite, everything is within the infinite. He said, and actually, you can never be separated from Krishna. We just need an attitude adjustment. Our consciousness of forgetfulness, but no one is ever actually separated from Krishna. It's not possible. So that's encouraging. So Guru Maharaj comes with this, re-establish the prestige of Srimati Radharani. No, Krishna, it's just, he's so overwhelmed by observing her that he goes into seclusion to see what sort of behavior she exhibits in separation from him, what her heart compels her to do, the kind of things that she says, and like that. And so he descends as Mahaprabhu, Sri Radhaya, Pranaya Mahima Kiddushovana Eva, Svadyo Yenadbhuta, Madhurima Kiddusho Madhya, Sokyam Chasha, Manubhavata, Kiddusam Beti Lobhat, Tadbhavadya, Samajani Sachi Garva Sindho Harindu. We heard in the 9th canto that from the milk ocean, the moon rose, Lakshmi, they rose from the Kir Sagar. Here, we're told from the milk ocean that is the womb of Sachi Mata, the moon of Gaurachandra, rises, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sachi Garva Sindhu Harindu, for these three purposes. So, to experience the sort of love that she alone possesses, that means Mahabhav, Swarupini Radha Thakurani, to taste the sweetness of Krishna. He wants to taste the sweetness, but he can't do that as Krishna. Govindam Adi Purusha. He cannot experience that from the position of an enjoyer. The position of the devotee is never one of enjoyment. So by adopting her position, as we know, Guru Rupa Harim Gauram, the Guru Rupa of Krishna is Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and who is that? Radha Ruchi Ruchabritam, enveloped in the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. From that position, he can now taste the sweetness of Krishna and experience Mahabhav and all these things. So, we told recently on Srila Guru Maharaj's disappearance day that in the aftermath of Sri Gaudiya Math, how he went to Vrindavan and Kartik Mas and was doing, Madhukari and the Brajamandal Parikrama, but also deeply meditating on sharanagati, thinking that that's the basis as he will later, one of the slokas that he composed original in Prapana Jivanamritam, Bhagavat Bhakti Tat Sarvam It Yu Srija Vidyaраpi Kankarjam Krishna Padaika. Krishna Kankarja means Krishna Kinkar, Krishna Das. Shrayatam sharanagati. That it's so powerful, it achieves everything by offering yourself in the surrender. Goptrite Bharanam, offering yourself to Krishna exclusively and accepting him as one's guardian and expecting protection. That's the principal anga according to Jiva Goswami. So many things are going through Srila Guru Maharaj's mind and heart. And previously, on Brajamandal Parikrama with Srila Saraswati Thakur, he was doing what Srila Guru Maharaj calls Ruchi Pariksha, means examining the spiritual taste of his disciples. So we can understand these are superior disciples. If he's doing Ruchi Pariksha, I mean he's detecting in them certain things. And he asked Srila Guru Maharaj, what do you, of all the places we've been, what is your preferred place? And Guru Maharaj said, Kadam-kandi of Srila Rupa Goswami. And then some years go by, they're on Brajamandal Parikrama again. And they come to Kadam-kandi, and without any, Guru Maharaj saying anything, Saraswati Thakur says to him, your place. And Guru Maharaj said, my place? What? No, your place. That is your place. So, really, we could say in one sense, that was Guru Maharaj's first choice. Right? And that somehow, by, I can only think like divine arrangement, it didn't happen. Guru Maharaj tried to get that place, and there was a little hitch with some Babajis, and he had like to have a court case, and it's interesting that he asked Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu, what do you think will be the outcome of this court case? And he told him, Vasudeva Prabhu said, they will win because they're doing 3 lakhs of Krishna-nam every day in the dress of Babajis, and the local people respect that. And you're here in the saffron vesh of a Gaudiya sannyasi, and they are not fully appreciating Saraswati Thakur's movement. And that's what happened. Right? So Guru Maharaj is disappointed, but we know ultimately settles upon, we told, Chaitanya Saraswat Mad and Navadip via Birachandrapur, Ekachakra, with Nityananda's grace as the foundation. But before that, there are 2 things that have some connection. And that is, and I asked Guru Maharaj this in 1985, sometimes after he gave sannyas to Srila Gurudev, because from that time on, Guru Maharaj's talking went down in terms of like classes and things like that. And you could see his health was also not the best, but he was, and I was pressured to think like, are there certain things I'd like to ask him while he can still respond, But, so this, I had heard him say something before, and I wanted him to mention it again, because he said he would at a certain time, and it seemed like time was running out. And it was about Uddhav-khyari. And why that is significant, it means where Uddhava delivers Krishna's message to the Brajagopis. They've been experiencing separation, Radharani and Brajagopis, and Krishna sends a message to them to try and placate them. But also, he wants Uddhava to see them. to observe that level of devotion. So it's multi-purpose. I mean, he's infinite. Everything he does is infinite. So on the one hand, it's to deliver some message to them. And that message, we find out later in Kurukshetra, they found somewhat insulting. And then you say, like, so there's insults in the spiritual world? Yes. But they're nectar churning, nectar producing. And they have some, this apparent cruelty and sweetness brings out a superior type of heart and love and affection. So, when Guru Maharaj quoting Saraswati Thakur, quoting Bhaktivinoda Thakur, saying that, we know Vrindavan is for the shallow, hollow thinkers. A man of real bhajan will prefer Kurukshetra. This enigmatic statement. What it means, it's highly contextual, but what it means, Vrindavan, the land of union, and then separation reaches its zenith point in Vrindavan. And, as Guru Maharaj says, extracts from this, service according to the intensity of its necessity draws remuneration. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the expert, this is the separation zenith point where Srimati Radharani is under the greatest necessity of service from her servitors. If you can do bhajan, which means direct service, not just abstract thinking, direct service at that time in that plane, he said there's no chance of ever coming down here again. Like it's so high, so wonderful. If you can serve in that plane, the remuneration there is Mahabhav, according to Guru Maharaj, which is generally beyond the constitutional capacity of a jiva soul to experience. Radharani, out of gratitude to the servitors at that time, says, here, have what we're tasting. And Guru Maharaj said, once you've had a taste of that divine substance, what to speak of all other taste, all other rasas become tasteless. Right? So that's the the zenith point of separation that is celebrated in Ratha Yatra. So Ratha Yatra is not an anecdotal, peripheral, secondary, but primary. That's the pastime that Mahaprabhu and his devotees as a group participate in every single year for somewhere between 18 to 24 years. And it's that separation at its height, and we're told that's where the maximum amount of pressure of love and is put upon love and affection, and the heart yields the most superior substance. So we're going to, what is his tasting matter? Separation, Rupa Goswami, then Gurudev would quote this verse, Pida bir navakala kuta katuta garvasya nirvasyano, from Rupa Goswami, where he's saying it's like being poisoned by cobra venom while being bathed in a shower of nectar simultaneously. And the heart feels like that, as if poisoned by cobra, going to die at any moment, and being bathed in this inconceivably wonderful shower of nectar at the same time. Very peculiar. So, what is his taste? That is what he's tasting. Govinda, he knows everything there is about the joys of union. So he did not descend as Mahaprabhu for that. Right? That's what we call it, Gauranga Nagarivad, to impose the position of Krishna the enjoyer upon Gauranga Mahaprabhu. They're one of the Sahajiya Sampradayas. It's faulty, it's Saraswati Thakur, the beginning of Chaitanya Bhagavat, he addresses that, condemning that. And the introductory slokas are there, like, never do that. It will destroy you, ruin you, you'll have, an offensive, damaging misconception about Mahaprabhu to think that way. And it's so perfect. Because why? We're told Krishna Lila Amrita Sar. Krishna Lila is the creme de la creme of nectarine substances, but is reserved for the highest section of liberated souls. So in other words, it's almost impossible to enter there. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana kotishvapi mahamune. Like 1 in 10 million. 1 in 10 million liberated souls may be a Krishna Bhakta. Koti mukta durlabh madhye ek Krishna Bhakta. 1 Krishna Bhakta out of 10 million liberated souls. Not out of 10 million people who are generically interested in spiritual culture. Out of liberated souls, 1 in 10 million may be a genuine Krishna Bhakta. Right? So, why did I say that? Because before that? Yes, but about Krishna and the sloka, this combination of these two things. Huh? The what? Yes. But maybe it will come, that particular train of thought. Where I was saying, why did I say how rare it is? Anyway, so so Srila Guru Maharaj, I was saying about Mahaprabhu and his devotees and the Ratha Yatra, the separation zenith point. So that's one. Right? But we'll say Guru Maharaj, there's Uddhav-khyari and Gangbir. Right? And there's where the connection is. Because Ratha Yatra, of course, is also in Puri, which represents Dwaraka. But Uddhav-khyari, this point, is described in Antya Lila. It's referred to as, it's saying, what is Mahaprabhu doing with Swarup Damodar and Ramananda behind closed doors in the Gangbir? It says, like Uddhava Darshane. That's my point. So if you read there, we're talking about you may think it leans like, why, when they saw Uddhava, what does that mean? It's a reference to when Uddhava brings that message to the Braja Gopis, to Radharani and Braja Gopis in Vrindavan. And while reading the message to them, and this is at Uddhav-khyari, the gopis are talking with them, but Radharani is being silent. And she separates herself from the group. She's not saying anything. And that's when the Brahmar, the bumblebee, comes. And that's what they're discussing. But it's so high, so coming and saying, the Uddhava Darshan. So Ramananda and with Mahaprabhu, what, in other words, is saying, what is he tasting repeatedly day and night for the last 12 years of his life? What came out of Radharani, the heart of Srimati Radharani, at that time, when Uddhava came, and he's reading that message to the Braja Gopis, and Radharani is on the side, and the Brahmar, the bumblebee, comes, and she, expresses what is taught, 10 different types of divine mad talks, prajalpa. Because if you read in the beginning of Antya Lila, say, only the most fortunate souls can understand the mad talks of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's what it is based upon. And that was Guru Maharaj's specialty. So we were discussing previously, in 1941 or so, Prapanna Jivanamritam. In the 50s, Premadama Deva Stotram, how he's continually expressing new things. Achinoti shastrartam. The Acharya is extracting new meaning from the scriptures. It's not that when we met him, he's telling us things that were just understood a long time ago and you repeat them. He was saying new things. As sometimes he's saying, this came to me 2 weeks ago. And then he starts speaking about that. So what I meant by saying all of this, I was saying like, where did Golden Volcano come from? When did that start? And you can identify Prema Dhamma Deva Stotram because Gurudev started publishing it in the Gaudiya Darshan. But like subjective evolution of consciousness, when did he start talking about that? So here, the golden volcano, where does that come from? That concept. It's not found anywhere, it's not described, it's the original concept from Srila Guru Maharaj. And so this Uddhav-khyari, this Brahma Gita, that is where it comes from. That's where what does he say? Volcanic eruptions from the heart of Srimati Radharani. What is Shikshastakam of Mahaprabhu? Volcanic eruptions from the heart of... That's where it comes from. And why is it he described it as a volcanic eruption? Because there's this heart and it's got this intense like lava flowing inside. It's hot. Stream, and what happens? You put maximum pressure upon it, love and affection. Through separation, the volcanic eruption. So that's where he extracted this from. And so at this time, I asked, to Srila Guru Maharaj, I'm saying, you said once that you would talk about this, and another devotee's there using the word, you promised, and Guru Maharaj is trying to think about it in a different way. And then he did start talking about it. That we can maybe present at another time. It's very wonderful. But it's on this theme of union and separation and pressure being put upon love and affection. And he's saying that in that wonderful world, one of the things he said, in the wonderful spiritual world, what is the most dreadful thing? Are there dreadful things? Like he's saying everything is there. So then there has to be a dreadful thing also. But the dreadful thing there is to be separated from Krishna. So there is dread and how do you say, that such a thing could occur, or what to speak of when it happens, and how it's all being arranged by Yogamaya to increase the intensity of the loving exchange between Krishna, Radharani, and Brajagopis. Because he's saying, look, Krishna, Anandamayo Vyasat, he's already, Rasaraj, he's Anandam, Ananda Murti, Akila Rasamrita Murti. That's his very nature. And he's infinite. But by having this play, this Leela, these pastimes, can be even more. Although, and what will he use to support that? A verse like from the Ishopanishad. Om Purnam Adak Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. And even for that, what is he gives a nice example to help us understand it. He's saying 0 plus 0 equals 0. 0 minus, so if you have 0 and you take away 0, what are you left with? 0. If you have 1 0 is 0. If you have 1,000 zeros, it's 0. We learned this when we were children in school, actually. But we never thought of applying it to like the infinite supreme personality of Godhead. That came from Guru Maharaj. And so it's so beautiful. In other words, 1 billion zeros is zero. Because you say, well, what, he needs something? You say, no, it's just apparent need. It's all apparent. That means it's a play, it's lila, it's pastimes. And Guru Maharaj will speak about hunger, saying, only by having hunger can you relish eating. If you have no hunger, you don't relish eating. So hunger is a type of pain. So he's saying that it's a type of pain, but it's a good type of pain. It's a sweet type of pain because that is relieved by coming in connection with Krishna. So in the Brahma Gita, we know when the bee comes in, there are various descriptions. They're saying that because the bee is black and yellow. And what is Krishna saying? Black and yellow. So something, that bee is, again, Krishna wanting to observe. He doesn't want to come as Krishna, so he's come as the bee to see, again, she's in the depths of separation. Now we're back to him hiding in the bushes to see her in this condition. That can give us a hint of how capturing it must be. And it is there she expresses these different prayers that are recorded in beautiful poetry by Veda Vyas. And as I told Guru Maharaj, it was considered his specialty by his godbrothers, and sometimes he would talk about it. So we're told at the Oriental Institute in Vrindavan, Ban Maharaj had a bomb shelter there. Don't ask me why. Whatever was going on, he had a bomb shelter at underneath his institute. And sometimes Krishna's Babaji Maharaj and Ban Maharaj could get Guru Maharaj to go into the bomb shelter, and there he would talk about it, like deep underground. We've seen that place near Radha Damodar of Rasikananda Prabhu, I think, or Shyamananda, right? Shyamananda. So anyway, he would go there, and Krishna's Babaji Maharaj has, they all have a wonderful sense of humor. Babaji Maharaj would smile and say, the highest talks in the lowest place. I mean, they're in Vrindavan, the highest, but he means like we're underground, and he's talking about, the highest things. And we can't represent that. Srila Guru Maharaj does, in that, when I asked him, he did like a verse or so, and then he says, oh, forgetting, because, I mean, really, after Gurudev took the reins, Guru Maharaj faded from that time on, in terms of vitality and things. But he did deal with it very beautifully and very wonderfully. And the one verse that I do like to say, because it's more accessible, and he also quoted it, it's Yadanu charita lila karna piyusha viprut sakrid dvanda viduta dvanda dharma vinashta. Remember, it appears Radharani is chastising this bee, who's either Krishna or Krishna's representative, because she's saying, you're the unfaithful servant of an unfaithful master. You're the hypocrite of a hypocritical master. She's saying all these terrible things to this bee. And in time she's realizing like, oh no, I shouldn't have said all those things. But it's like bringing out these things that we hear in Charitamritam. What does Krishna say? When my beloved is chastising me, it captures my mind. I forget about the reverential hymns of the Vedas, where they're saying, you're so great and wonderful, and you're innumerable avatars, you're saving all the fallen souls. And she's chastising him and for his misbehavior and his so many things. And Krishna's saying, that is so sweet to me. So, and this verse, Radharani is saying, if one drop of the nectar of Krishna touches your heart, you're finished. Your life is ruined. That's what she says. And I thought, like, everyone who's come in connection with Krishna consciousness on some level should be able to relate to this. And Vishwanath Chakrabarti Tagore says, although these devotees, he says, they're very sweet. He said, they're very hard and not sweet with others, like who are, their family members and other things. So these very sweet, wonderful devotees who get touched by a drop of this Krishna nectar, they behave so cruelly with their relatives, their family, their friends. They don't care for them anymore. It's the end of their relationship. He chooses to take it in that line. She says, one drop of the nectar of Krishna touches your heart, your life is ruined forever. And what the Acharjas will tell us, yes, your material life is finished. Back to Mahaprabhu and Ramananda, stane stita shruti katam tanavan manobir. When you hear from a Krishna-loving person, devotee, Vaishnav, Bhagavat, that's your connection with reality. Remember, that's the first thing that Mahaprabhu accepts, is acceptable from Ramananda. Hearing from a Krishna-loving person about Krishna, there's something about the way they talk about Krishna that touches the heart. He's saying that's your connection with reality. Here, Radharani is saying, in one drop of that substance, you're finished. So Guru Maharaj says, today or tomorrow. Right? So once you've had that, heard that, it's in the beginning of the Bhagavatam when Narada chastising Vyas. And then he's saying, this is so vital, so important, that even if you just have a brief connection with it, that's better than lifetimes of doing the right thing and varnashram or any other religious system. Is even a brief connection, because this is reality. And he's saying, and it's so sweet and so wonderful that even if someone, it enters a suppressed position for some time, they apparently go down, go away, he's saying, they will remember that, and nothing will compare with that, and it will bring them back to it again by the grace of Guru and Vaishnava in the future. So he's already addressing that. Narada to Vyas, going down, whatever you want to call it, he's saying, it's still better, even a brief connection with Krishna consciousness, it's still better than it's worth it. It's worth the risk. When people think, oh, should I or shouldn't I? According to Narada, you should. That's his opinion. You should. And he's the authority. And Vedavyas is supporting that, and are all those. And the line of Srila Saraswati Thakur, he said, our Guru Maharaj's position is jump, take the risk, the proverbial leap of faith, jump into the unknown. That's what sharanagati is saying. Krishna will give me shelter, be my guardian, be my protector. So, yad anucharti lila karna piyusha vipu sakrita dvana viduta dvanda dharma vinashta sapati griham kutundam dinam utsrida dinam bahuva bhikkhu bihanga bhikkhu charjam charanti. And she's saying, and what happens after you hear about Krishna and your life is ruined? Then what do? He said, you're just like these birds, they have no place to stay, they're homeless, they eat a little something here and there. And the charge is saying, what is that bird that's being described? The hangsa, paramahamsa. She's saying the end result of all this is you become a paramahamsa, Vaishnava. Yes, you have no place in this world, and you only live off of the spiritual essence. So it all seems to be expressed as anger or resentment, but it's all to be interpreted in an inverted way. Right? So, but that's what Guru Maharaj called eruptions, ecstatic eruptions. And just to conclude, he said, and then we can only, so with this ecstatic eruption going on, he said, I pray that someday Krishna will come and take his soft hand and put it on the top of the boiler plate, like where all this is coming out. Krishna will come and give this relief. Hare Krishna. So that's how we can trace the beginning of the golden volcano of divine love. Hare Krishna. Guru Rupa Harim Gauram Radha Ruti Rutavratam. So from her, what is in her? Transferred to the heart of, as Krishna says, her heart is my guru. I'm the disciple of her heart. As Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and that Shikshastakam that's coming out from Mahaprabhu is originally coming out from her. He's mirroring the sentiments of the heart of Srimati Radharani and expressing those things. Nam Sankirtam Kalo Paramopai. And we should say, so that great Bhagavatam, 18,000 slokas, what is in it? Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Samanas Tannamami Harim Param. It ends singing the glories of Nam Sankirtan. What do we find? In the Antya Leela, the Shikshastakam section of Charitamritam, Nam Sankirtam Kalo Paramopai. And if you think about this, so Radha and Krishna, Krishna Leela, almost virtually impossible to enter that plane. That's why I said that about the 1 in 10 million liberated souls. What? Krishna Leela Amrita Sartar Shata Shatadar Das Dike Jahav Vahoite Se Chaitanya Leela Hoy Sorovarag Manaso Hangsa Charaha Tahate. What is Gaur Leela? The magnanimous distribution of Krishna Leela, including to even the most unqualified. And when the patient's condition is the worst, you give the highest, the ultimate medicine. When nothing else can save them, that's when you bring out the highest, most efficacious type of medicine. And what is that? Nam Sankirtan. So you think, sometimes we can think Krishna consciousness can be so complex, esoteric, deep, so many things to be understood. But what if Radha and Krishna themselves came and told you what to do? Like, we're going to give you a way that you can come in connection with us in the easiest possible method. So they combine as one, and then descend as Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and do what? Krishna-nam Siddhuna Dhamma Danya Dana Sagaram Prema Dhamma Devameva Nomi Gaura Sundaram. Say, just chant Krishna-nam. You can say Krishna, Krishna. Right? The sum total of the infinite appearing as though finite in 2 syllables. Krishneti Varna Dvayi. Everything. So Mahaprabhu comes and what is he telling? Bahiranga Sangekore Nama Sankirtan, distributing Krishna really through Nam Sankirtan to everyone, and then Antaranga Sangekore Rasa Ashwadan with Swarup and Ramananda behind closed doors in the Gangbir, Uddhava Darshane relishing these things. Hare Krishna. Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himavadivyaschavi Sundaraya Tasmaya Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhata Dasa Raghunath Echai Gochai Kori Charana Bandhan Jaha Hoite Vignanash Abhishta Puran Echai Gochai Jar Mui Taro Das Kansavara Padarenu Mora Panchagras Kandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Janome More Avilas Echai Gochai Jabe Prajay Koilovas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korilo Prakash Anande Boro Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Sri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Sri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyash Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narottamadas Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Jai Gaur Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Gaur Hari Bo Jai Gaur Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Gaur Hari Bo Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraja Kacharya Terrace of the Sri Srimad Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Shri Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Bhagavan Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Jai Saparikar Shri Sri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Jiu Ki Jai Jai Saparikar Shri Sri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Sundar Jiu Ki Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Nama Charja Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Sri Gupta Govardhan Ki Jai, Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda Ki Jai, Jai Srila Bhakti Vimalavadut Maharaj Ki Jai, Sannyasi Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Sri Munendra Mohan Prabhu Ki Jai, Sri Krishna Kanta Didi Ki Jai, Seva Vrinda Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanande.
Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Maharaj, Dandavats from Shripad Vigrahanyasi Maharaj.
Jai, Shripad Bhakti Vigrahanyasi Maharaj Ki
Jai. He is saying, my Dandavad pranams to Srila Goswami Maharaj and all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, especially my old friends Munindra Mohan Prabhu and Krishna Kanta Didi. Dandavad from Srimad Keshavananda Prabhu, Arjun Prabhu, Nimai Priya Didi from Ukraine, Rupa Devidasi, Mexico, Rasananda Prabhu from Russia, and then Jai Prabhu from Russia, Kshama Budhi Prabhu, Purushottam Prabhu, Kalyani Didi, Krishna Lata Didi, USA, Anandamoyi Didi, Portugal, Sundari Devidasi, Ajita Krishna Prabhu, and Bhakta Marlon Rodriguez. That's it.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Hare Krishna. Jai, Srimad Bhakti Sevan Rishikesh Maharaj Ki Jai. They're in Abhazia. Praneshwari Deity doing the Espanol translation. Dandavat. Kaliya Dhamma Di Krishna Das. Hare Krishna. Dandavat. And he's with Rishikesh Maharaj, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. Chaitanya Nitai Prabhu and Vrindavan, Dandavat. Dharani Sundari Didi, Abhazia, Dandavat. Gokula Tarini Didi, Dandavat. Vrinda Devi Dasi and Nizhny Novgorod, Kalindi Priya's mom, Dandavat. Make sure she sees you. Achyutananda Prabhu, Yaroslava Dandavat. Jivana Didi, Dandavat. Pavel Brun, says Montenegro. Hare Krishna. All right. Dandavat. Ravindra Krishna Das, Shyama Balava Dandavat. Bhagavan Das, Dandavat. Priyananda Didi and Lakta, Dandavat. Ajita Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Jamuna's mother Elena in Moscow, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Rasananda Prabhu in Kiev, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Sandeep and Maheshri Didi, Dandavat. Pritu Prabhu, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Ananta Shesh Prabhu in Spain, Dandavat. Jadumani Krishna Das, Dandavat. Abhiram Prabhu, Dandavat. Gadadhar Pran, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Good to see you. Vanavi Didi, Dandavat in Roma, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See, there's Krishna Kanta and Munindra. And Dr. Jai Kumar, Hare Krishna. He's will cure you of your material disease as well as your spiritual disease. At his clinic, his ashramic clinic. Dandavat Prabhu. Ananta Shesh, yes, we did. And Dharani Sundari Didi, Dandavat. Vasudev Das, Dandavat. Indumukhi in China with Mitravinda, Dandavat. Eva Gaurimanian, Dandavat. Sulakshana is doing the Chinese translation here. Prafula Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Lavanya Lata, Dandavat. Kalindi Priya, Dandavat. Lakshmi Priya in Kiev. Gaura Chandra Prabhu in Nadhotka. Damodar Das, Julie, and Kazakhstan. Dandavat.
Maharaj Anjali Didi from Ukraine.
Where?
The third row. Yes.
Oh, yes. All right. Dandavat. Hare Krishna.
And Dila Sundar Prabhu, Ukraine also.
And Leela Sundar Prabhu. Dandavat.
And Pavan Krishna Prabhu.
Oh, Pavan Krishna and Krung Tep Mahanakan.
That's it.
All right. Vanchakapatribhyascha kripa sindhu beva cha patitanam pavanevyo vaishnavevyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Janusz Bachil Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj ki jai.
How do you go to sleep now?